Welcome to the Fat Banter Sports Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Ramsey. I'm here with my other co-host of the day, Randy. Um, Today we're going to be talking as our first podcast back after a couple years. We're going to be talking about some of the coach changes that started this week with the NFL. They hit home with me with the Tennessee Titans, and then some of the college football coaching changes that's been happening this year with a big name that dropped this week. And I think we're going to tie this in, as you can tell. You can't tell that Randy has an LSU shirt on, but he's wearing an LSU shirt. I have my LSU hat. We're in LSU territory, and this is where we're going to I'm going to kind of tie this into about Brian Kelly and LSU and how this could be the end of LSU's run with Brian Kelly.
Could.
Could. I think
Could.
there's I think there's a path for this to happen. But first, let's talk about the NFL. The Tennessee Titans did fire Brian Callahan after a horrendous start of this freaking season. Um, it's been hard to watch. Um, the first game of the season, there was hope. There was watching them play against Denver. Like, oh, this could be a good season. This could be good. And then you put up horrendous numbers. It terrible numbers. Get blown out, and
Did
then
you
we.
did you realistically? All right, hold on. Did you realistically think that Tennessee was going to be marginally better this year?
No, 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 no. I said after last season and going into this season, we will have the number one pick this year. We are the worst team in the NFL. I'll still say it. Yes, the Jets had a worse record than we do, but I have more hope and more and more optimal that they will be better than Tennessee. I think they are better than Tennessee. I just think they have played very bad opponent. I think they've been having the schedule for them has been a been a determinant for them.
Detriment.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean, I got to say, like, I haven't really been paying too much attention to what the Titans have been doing this year. Mainly because I had already chalked it up that they were not going to be a good team. Um, Maybe try to watch for highlights of Cam Ward, see if he's doing anything, but haven't really been too many of those, have there?
I tell you, if you watch in the game, you can tell that they're the talent and the future is going to be good for them.
Yeah,
But
they're young, and
it it,
you need
it
somebody that can help mold
it's
that
not
young
even
talent.
young. It's not even young. It's a detriment when they hired Callahan. I had a problem with it because I'm like, he's his dad's son, and I don't think the apple is not too far from the fucking tree. And what Callahan does did not with Will Levis. And I'm not saying Will Levis not is great, but Will Levis he did not go in and try to make that offense to fit Will Levis.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, he ain't doing shit to make anything fit for Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. Yeah.
You know, and there's and the blueprints out there in the NFL, Buffalo, Baltimore. How do you get these two MVPs to play prolific in their offense? You go to their freaking college and you ask them, "Hey, what plays can we chalk up and put into our play calling to help us help them become better quarterbacks?"
Well, it's one of those things that, like, if you're gonna bring in, especially like you spent a number one pick on Cam Ward, you spent a top pick on Cam Ward. You don't bring a guy like that in to run the same offense that you've been running. You bring him in to utilize his talent. You tailor a system around his strengths. It's like taking a square peg and trying to fit it into a round hole. It makes no sense,
No,
and so it's just one of those things you can't quarterback rankings going into the draft are all subjective because it's a matter of what value do you put in a player, like where do you see him fitting in on your team, you know whereas one team might have Cam Ward as their definitive number one QB on the board. He might be another team's number 3 or number 4. It's also a matter of like once, but you went out there and you drafted the guy, so you're saying, hey, this is our guy going forward. You don't ask him to play a style of ball that does not play to his particular athletic strengths.
well, the Callahan system, Callahan was trying to play like it's the 1990s, where we're going to run my offense and you have to adapt.
Right.
That's the way how we learn. Hey, you cannot train and you cannot go in and develop a quarterback like that because it's not going to work. You don't have enough time to do so.
No.
You need to
But
adapt to
even
your quarterback. You need to adapt to a quarterback. And that's the problem
yeah.
is last year he didn't adapt to Will Levis. This year he was not adapting to Cam Ward. And with that, I don't like the writing was on the wall. I didn't want him as a coach in the first place because I don't like the Callahan bloodline.
Mm,
Look, Callahan got look, Callahan, he was gifted when Gruden left with the talent that was in Oakland. But when
yep.
all that talent got old and all that talent left, what happened to Callahan and the Raiders? He wasn't there.
Couldn't
Callahan
build
went
it.
to
He was also a stubborn guy
he
and
went to
butted heads with
Nebraska.
people.
He went to Nebraska, and that shit just went more and more in the tank than than they did. It's just one of those things where I didn't want nothing to do with him. I didn't want Vrabel should never left. You know, I'm
The
one of the
fact,
I
well,
am
yeah, the fact that they fired Vrabel to me was just mind-boggling.
stupid,
That, yeah.
stupid, dumb. And oh, guess who's coming this weekend to Tennessee? Mike Vrabel and the Patriots.
Dude, you better hang at least 50 on him. Come on.
Not a happy guy. Um, Mike McCoy was named interim. Not happy about that either. Because the thing is, they're really big on Mike McCoy. I'm like, if you're big on Mike McCoy, we have fucking problems.
Yeah.
We're gonna have problems. Um, but with that comes to questions like the NFL hot seat. So some of the hot seat rankings for this week. Number one is Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins. 1 and 5. The shit that Tua's coming out and saying, how their performance and the downfall from being one of the explosive offenses to nothing.
Dude, it's
Head
crazy because it
head
feels like
scratching.
no, because it feels like 2 years ago we were singing Mike McCarthy's praises or Mike
McDaniel.
McDaniel's praises. Yeah, praises about being like a young offensive guru. We were lauding him in the same way we were lauding, Sean McVay, uh, Shanahan, like a lot of these younger coaches. And I mean those Dolphin teams, especially in the first year or two under McDaniel, they were exciting and fun to watch. It just seems like whenever Tua's concussion issues really came to a head, no pun intended, um, that's when basically the tire blew out and everything kind of went to shit. And
The tire, the wheel fell off the car. The first wheel fell off the car. That playoff loss to Kansas City where they got blown out.
mhm.
That's the beginning of the end. That's the first tire, and then last year Tua and the head injuries. That's another tire, and this year Tyreek Hill in the offseason. I want out. He wanted out. We ain't getting. We're not getting good. They're not getting production out of him. It just it's mind boggling that everything they shipped out Ramsey. They everything we know about the Dolphins changed, and the tires are falling off, and they're not fixing it. And so I think he might be out. He might be out of Miami because what he's 1-5 this year, 29-28 overall. He's been at Miami. Number two on the list, which I don't agree with, is Aaron Glenn of the Jets. He's right now 0-6. Um, First thing, you got to give him some. You have to
You have to
give
give
him
him
that
time, you
players. You
know?
got to give him players.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like nobody was expecting the Jets to be world beaters this year. You could say that there was like maybe some diamonds in the rough, so to speak, coming in from last season, but it's like they were an epic shit show last season, and so you're bringing in a new coach, trying to establish a new culture. You're not necessarily going to be able to figure it out overnight.
I think the test taste in Jet fans and probably the Jets organization. He went to Aaron Rodgers and says, "We don't want you." And to go see Aaron Rodgers right now in Pittsburgh in first place, and you guys went with Justin Fields and you haven't done anything. I'm not shocked. When they went Justin
Yeah,
Fields, I'm like, what has he? Justin Fields, you gave him that contract? He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done
right.
anything. It's a hope and dream. Like both New York teams got the Pittsburgh quarterbacks, and then expect what?
To,
That was the biggest question mark for Pittsburgh for the
right.
quarterbacks. You 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 cut Aaron Rodgers, and they pick up Aaron Rodgers, and now guess what? They have a brighter future for this year. Maybe not in the future, but they have a playoff future this year than you guys.
By the way, you're talking about former Pittsburgh quarterbacks now playing in New York. How about a shout out to former New York quarterback Daniel Jones that everybody thought was a bust. Then he goes to Indy and is actually fucking crushing it right now.
Let's
So
get with
shout
that.
out to Daniel Jones.
Let's get with that because it's interesting. Because I also like the crash and burn story of Anthony Richardson because that story got more interesting this past weekend.
Hmm.
Uh, Number third on the list is Kevin Stefanski of Cleveland. He's won 5 this year, 41-49 overall. This two-time NFL Coach of the Year.
Yeah. And
But
it's crazy that for whatever fucking reason the Browns can't just can't fucking put it together. It's
it
the
it's
the
culture.
meme of the Browns quarterback jersey and just like the never ending list of names and it's just like how like you've had how many attempts at this. You've had a few years where you've made the playoffs and you've had a decent team, and it's like how can you just not get it together, like.
The things that they do are mind-boggling, and I think from an ownership prospect, it goes from ownership down. Because first off, during the draft, I was telling everybody if you have to draft two quarterbacks, that means you drafted no quarterbacks.
You have no quarterback, right?
Um, Joe Flacco, he didn't look bad. It's just that team's bad. The team's bad.
And then he goes, and
It's
then
just
and then they trade him to Cincinnati. And
you.
I mean, watching the
There's
game
one.
last night, he
The
won.
first rule. The first rule in the NFL is you do not trade any of your players to your division or conference rivals midseason. You trade him to Cincinnati, then they go and Cincinnati goes and beats Pittsburgh, and so like, what the fuck? Now you're giving hope to fucking Cincinnati now has that chance now. Oh shit, The first week he looked terrible last week because you just get traded midweek.
Yeah.
You have time to look at the playbook. You give him 1 week. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is not a slouch. Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl MVP. He knows how to play the game. Is the reason why he is 40 something years old and still playing in the NFL. There's a reason why. And last night showed you why Cincinnati took that chance and why Cleveland traded to an arch rival. Don't understand it. All he needs now to play for Baltimore. He has played for every NFC North team. Number four, speaking about Baltimore, John Harbaugh is on the hot seat.
Mm.
They're 1-5 this year. They're one. He's 173 and 109.
I will.
I
I will.
think this is ridiculous. But as a Baltimore fan, this is not the first time he's on a hot seat, and I don't understand how Pittsburgh and Baltimore can constantly go after their coaches and say that we need a change when like statistically, these are your two best coach, two of the top three coaches of the league is is in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but constantly. I guarantee you, right now, they're calling for
I
in
mean,
Pittsburgh, they're calling
well,
for
well,
their heads.
I get it that expectations are high, especially when you have, a guy at the helm in Lamar Jackson that he's on the cusp, and you're waiting for him to take that next step and to take that leap and to get to the Super Bowl. But I mean, Harbaugh has been consistently good, and it's like to me, it's crazy that this year the thing that's been kind of killing them is their defense, because if there's anything that you can say is almost a surefire guarantee in the NFL year in year out, when you look at which teams are going to have some of the best defenses in the NFL, almost every year you can point to the Ravens and say that that's going to be one of the top defenses in the league, and their defense is atrocious this season,
Yep.
and that is what's losing them games. And it's like, you know, Harbaugh's having a down year. Do you give him time to, go in a draft, restock the kitchen? I mean, I think the fact that we're talking about firing a guy that consistently has gotten them to the playoffs, consistently gotten them to AFC championship games, to me, it's kind of crazy that we're broaching that conversation.
So in the preseason, when people were talking about how the Baltimore Ravens are the favorites, or one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, now I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll sit there and I'll tell you right off the bat, how? I don't see it on our defense. I don't see it on the defense. I think our offensive line has a little couple is soft. Receivers always been an issue in Baltimore.
They've always had a good run game to compensate for it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but now it's like, okay, I don't put everything on Harbaugh. Like, Harbaugh's the head coach. Yeah, but Lamar Jackson is your quarterback, and yes, he is a MVP, former multiple MVP. When are we going to start saying that Lamar Jackson can't win the games? Because how it just seems like he can do he's like a great regular season quarterback, but playoffs he disappears. Or when it comes to really big games in season, he'll play to a higher level at some point, but then you just know, like, oh, you're going to put the ball in his hands, they're not going to win the game. I'm a fan, and when people say, oh, the best quarterback in Baltimore history is, they go like, I was talking to some of my friends about Mount Rushmore's. They're like, Lamar Jackson's on is the is the quarterback face of the Baltimore franchise. I'm like, I'm sorry, he has not won a
Johnny
Super Bowl.
Unitas,
No, but he never. No, John Unitas played for the Colts.
but that was still
The
Baltimore.
Ravens, the Ravens, Ravens organization started in 1995, 96.
Hmm.
They don't carry over no history from Baltimore Colts or from the Cleveland Browns.
So then in that case, what Elvis Gerback,
The greatest
Trent
quarterback to ever,
Dilfer,
no, the greatest quarterback to play in their franchise is the guy who's now leading the Cincinnati Bengals,
but that's true.
Jay Flacco. Flacco. Um, yeah, I think this is a joke. I he should be. You give him one more year. You give him the year.
Yeah,
Um, the fifth on this list is the other New York team that took the other Pittsburgh quarterback, who's not starting.
Brian Dable. Yeah,
Brian Dable, which stop me if you heard this before, is on the hot seat.
I'll be honest. I was kind of surprised they didn't get shit canned after last season.
I'm sorry he didn't get shit canned after his first season. I don't understand how he's the head coach. His career record with the Giants is 20
36 and 1.
36 and 1. I'm now I have a problem. When you go in and say, "Hey, we don't have a quarterback. Let's," you first go and you sign Jameis Winston. All right, right off the bat, you are drafting a quarterback, hands down. We know what you're doing. But then you go sign Russell Wilson.
And
I was like, "What are you doing?"
then you draft Jackson
Then you
Dart.
draft Jackson Dart,
Yeah.
and then you don't start Jackson Dart. Then you start Jackson Dart, and now he makes you look like, man, we should start this dude week one. After everyone telling you Jackson Dart should start, put the quarterback in that needs to start, or put James Winston. Get rid of get 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 rid of Wilson. You didn't need to sign Wilson. I think Wilson's a cancer, and Jackson Dart looking good, but I don't think it's enough to save his job. I think they have to make change. This whole GM, head coach, everything with the Giants need to change.
Yep.
You got rid of in the last 2 years. You got rid of Saquon Barkley,
Yeah, which when that move happened, it was like, what?
and you do it on Hard Knocks. You tell people what you're thinking on Hard Knocks, and I'm like, oh, you don't think he's going to hear that? Oh shit, Saquon had that season last year because of that shit. The the fuck up you guys did to what they did to what's his name now with the Colts,
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. That I
Your mic went out. There you go.
I always have the backup, so we now know. Um, so like they had the back, so they give him the contract extension, but it didn't kind of pan out. So what do? You get rid of him. He goes on now signs with Indianapolis, and the Colts are making him look like everyone looks stupid. I think everyone in the league that passed him over looks stupid.
I mean,
Um,
like, look, when the Colts got Daniel Jones, and they were like, "Oh, he's our starting quarterback." I know a lot of people looked at that like, are they resigning themselves to being mediocre to bad this year? That
no,
it's been,
that's how terrible Anthony Richardson is.
yeah,
And I'll be straight honest with that. Draft analysis is when he start moving up in the draft, I was sitting there. I'm like, what are we talking about? Are we seeing? I saw this shit. I saw him in Florida. And I don't see
I
it.
was thinking the same exact thing. I mean, we're LSU fans. We watched him at Florida. We're like, where's this hype train coming from?
But previously, I used to analyze quarterback stats and oh, for draft for back in the 2000s. And I can tell you right now, I looked at him and I look at him not as he's a Florida quarterback. I look at him as a quarterback, and I'm like, what are we talking about? He can't do nothing. Like he has great athleticism, yeah, but pocket presence, nah. Then Indianapolis in that first season, when he took himself out the game because he was winded,
Hmm.
I was like, why did you not cut him the next day?
Yeah, he quit on his
I
team.
don't understand that shit. But speaking about bad luck for his ass, this past weekend before the game, he's warming up with rubber with the warm up bands, and it shot up and hit him in his eye, broke his orbital. He's on the IR.
Yeah.
I think his career is done. I
I
don't
mean,
think.
it was definitely a career threatening injury. What happened to his eye? And I mean, you don't know
Yeah,
necessarily. You know, you're not going to know until it actually heals. Like if his vision's been severely impacted by it, if it's going to affect him being able to survey the field. I mean, again, not that I thought that Anthony Richardson was going to be long for this world in Indianapolis, but still, like,
it,
yeah, his career could potentially be over because of this.
I don't even talk about the injury. I just think his career is over with because if Daniel Jones is playing in that offense that he could not do nothing with,
Well,
his
yeah,
career is
no,
over with.
he's done.
His
He's done in
career is
Indy.
done.
He's done in
I think he's
Indy.
done. I think he's done his career perfect.
Well, yeah, I mean, potentially his career is done too. But I mean,
Not
definitely
with
for
the
sure
injury.
in Indy, he's done.
Because I don't see no team would take a chance on him because, well, shit. Look at Indianapolis. That offense is dynamic with Daniel Jones, but it was anemic with Anthony Richardson at the helm. So that's some of the dynamics for the NFL. Um, but in the long run, um, it's basically going to be like every week. The three teams that suck are the Jets, Titans, and Saints, and that's going to
I
continue
will
to
say
go.
this with the Saints though. All right, I will say this with the Saints though. They are at least fun to watch in the sense that you do see steady improvement week to week. The record doesn't necessarily indicate it, but I mean, they were able to beat the Giants, which is not saying much. And they could have very well won that game against New England had things shaken out a little differently. It's the one game where you could sit there and say like Jesus Christ, that was god awful, was a Seattle game. But other than that, they have been competitive. And like, look, realistically, and I think most Saints fans that aren't Delulu knew that this was not going to be a good season, that they were not going to be a good team. So I had very low expectations, and I was like, look, I just want to see steady improvement, and I feel like we have seen that as the season's gone on. And you never know, like a lot of the things that are kind of costing them these close games now, they might unlock the secrets and fucking start winning those types of games going down because they've learned from those mistakes. So at least like these other teams have been hapless for a while. I think in the case of the Saints, it's like I like what I'm seeing um, from Jesus Christ. I'm blanking on the fucking coach's name. um, Saints coach. Come on, Mr. NFL. You know
Oh,
his
that's
name.
Kellen Moore. Kellen
Yeah,
Moore.
Kellen Moore. Thank you. Yeah, I was like blanking on his name for whatever reason. No, I mean I like what I'm seeing from Kellen Moore. Feel like the team has bought in, and it's like give him some time to cook, but it's coming together. It's just gonna take some time.
I don't relate Kellen Moore to the NFL at all. He's still Boise State's quarterback. Speaking
Man, shit,
about
shit.
speaking about
I remember watching him in college. It's fun
speaking of
times.
speaking about college, we'll go into the college coaching because unlike the NFL, this place has been dropping some bombs in coaching firings this year. Um, I'm going to go down to the seven openings they got so far. I'm going to go from what I've ranked them one through seven, where it's the most the probably the top rated job to the seventh rated job. out that's open. Of course, number one this weekend, James Franklin got 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 fired.
That
Um,
that one was it was equally shocking and not surprising in the slightest. I think the big knock against James Franklin was he couldn't win. He couldn't win the big games. I mean,
can't
he consistently put together 10-win seasons at Penn State, but every time it came down to playing the big boys like Ohio State or Michigan, um, he always would fold under pressure. And I just his offenses would look anemic against teams with better defenses. It's just as crazy. Like the Oregon game, they were able to take it to overtime and they lose in overtime. And it's like, yes, the James Franklin criticism of can't win the big one pops its head up again. But I mean, Penn State was in that game. But then you follow that up with going cross country to UCLA, which that's another job opening on this list. Number 2 on your, like, hey, this is like the most attractive spot list. Um, you get Deshaun Foster that was fired at the beginning of the season, which I mean that UCLA team looked fucking terrible. You got your boy from Tennessee who wanted, basically blackmailed Tennessee to try to get more money, ended up not getting it. They told him to go fuck off. Ends up not really being able to sign with any other team because nobody really wants him. Ends up going to UCLA, taking a considerable pay cut to what he was originally getting at Tennessee. And then was playing like shit for the first few games of the season. So Deshaun Foster started the season as coach, gets ousted. You got Rick Newhousel's boy that has stepped in and is the interim coach at the moment. And ever since he's taken over, that UCLA team's gotten better. But here's the kicker. So James Franklin goes on the road to UCLA, a game that they were 30 plus point favorites, and not just loses, but gets fucking curb stomped, mollywopped,
yeah
just like embarrassed. And then you come back home and you follow that up with a 1 point loss to Northwestern, the nearly perennial doormat of the Big Ten. Like the drop off of this team going from national championship contenders, the hype, everything was built on this season. Not that I bought into the hype. I'm just saying that the hype was there. This was the season to do it. And for them to go on a 3-game skid like that, it was just like you have no choice but to pull the trigger on James Franklin at that point. You've lost the team. You have clearly lost the team.
yeah. I am actually trying to look at that kickoff time for the Penn State.
Which one? Penn State Northwestern?
Yeah, it was a 12:30
It,
Eastern. It was 12:30 Eastern kickoff time because I've been noticing that these upsets that the Big Ten's been having have been USC have to go to Illinois and play at 11 in the morning Illinois time, where it's 9 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. They've been playing
right.
these cross country games. Michigan State went to USC. The kickoff time was 10:30. The third quarter, it was already 1 in the morning in Michigan State.
Hmm.
So it's like these games for the Big Ten. You went cross country with your with their expansion, and I think it kind of hurts them because they having these teams. I'm sitting, oh, that's a trap game. Michigan at USC 11, and it's at a early kickoff time or a late kickoff. It's it's a it looks like it's set up to fail,
I mean,
and I
like
think this is where we're going to have some issues where every year
it's
you're going to have like these games that's going to be trap games.
it's big business for Fox because I mean, big noon kickoff. It's like normally like in SEC land, that noon kickoff or that 11 o'clock kickoff in our case being in the Central. Um, the fact that Nobody wants to play that game. That is not an attractive game. That means that you're playing a cupcake, or you're playing, you're a shitty SEC team. You get that time slot. The fact that Fox is trying to sell it is like, no, this is our marquee game. Who needs prime time when you have noon and you own the
But
spotlight?
that's the
It's
Big East time slot. I mean, that's a Big Ten
exact.
time slot.
That's well, right,
That's
but
their time slot.
yeah, it.
But you have to adjust it to where you can't have a USC or UCLA play at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Well, Penn
Go cross
State play.
country.
Well, so wait, are you saying that the Penn State Northwestern game was in that 1 o'clock spot?
No, no, no.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was an
saying,
it was
I
an
was
afternoon
saying,
kickoff. That's what I thought
no,
your
I'm
original
saying,
point
no, I
was.
was saying, I was trying to see what time that game and the time slot at UCLA was,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a 12:30 kickoff Eastern time compared to what I thought it could have been like a later kickoff, like the USC, like USC and the USC Michigan State game.
Illinois, or
No, no,
yeah.
Michigan State. No, no, they played a late game and then they went to Illinois and played at 11 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, USC fumbled. I was like, yeah, of course. That makes it's a trap game. Um, I'm not shocked about Penn State. They are paying 50 million. Let
The
me get the
the the
right
scuttlebutt
numbers.
is that Adidas threw that money, or basically threw the money to do the buyout of Franklin's contract.
$56.3 million buyout to Penn State, which can be early, can be um, less than that because if he decides to take a coaching job, he'll be cut severely less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I will talk about in the hot seat rankings because I think someone's on a hot seat that shouldn't be on a hot seat, but they're on a hot seat. Um, Number two, UCLA. Where you kind of went into the UCLA situation, so I think that's the second most attractive. I don't think they're going to keep Neuheiser. I think just too much bad memories with his dad. And look, you already hired one alum that failed. You're gonna go right to a second alum that was on his staff. You gotta go. Number three, which I was shocked, and I'm not shocked. Like how you were with Penn State is how I
Mm,
am with Oklahoma State. I think Mike Gundy got himself fired.
yep.
I think because if you kept hearing uh, these press conferences and he kept saying he was like I'm confident in my job, like I know that he was like basically telling them, they ain't gonna fire me, and it just got
Like
to a point.
practically begging to be fired. Yeah.
It's been years that this been going on and they finally pulled the trigger. But yeah, but also too is like Oklahoma State, you have not had success. The only success in the program is with this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but that's going to be a situation. Number four, which I think could be the most attractive job in America, but I think the two people that can make this into the greatest college football team program are not doing their job correctly, and that's Arkansas. They released Sam Pittman. Let me first thing. When I heard that they fired Sam Pittman, I went like, I'm afraid to read the next line. Please don't make him the head coach. You wouldn't make him the head coach. No, he already had problems. Yes, they promoted Mr. I'm gonna be on the motorcycle with that's not a co-ed. Oh, that is a co-ed.
Oops, dude. But look,
Bobby Petrino needs no.
the most success that Arkansas has had as a football program in the last 20-25 years has been with Sam Pittman or sorry, with Bobby Petrino at the helm. It's like, to me,
That was not Houston
it's
Nut.
al- it's almost
Houston Nut.
inevitable.
Houston Nut had the most
Well,
success with Houston Nut
I was gonna
this
say
century. This
Bobby
century,
Bobby Bobby Petrino had them ranked number 3 in the BCS at one point in time.
That was Nut.
That was Trino.
No, that was with McFadden and that was Nut. That wasn't Petrino.
Talking about 2012.
I'm talking about 2006, 2006, 2007,
Yeah,
2008.
yeah, but no,
That's Nut.
in 2012, LSU played Arkansas at home, 1 versus 3. That was Petrino. Nutt was at Ole Miss by that point.
I'm still going. I don't want to mess up my studio. Damn it. I'm up. Well, I'll fact check it and bring it back next.
Well, who
But
was the
regardless,
Arkansas?
the but still number three. Okay, that's great. You're number three. But this total success of a program, that was Nut. That was the 2000s. That program was rolling in the 2000s. Still, did they? But what's their most successful years of the program? That was in
I mean,
2000s.
from a
Consistently,
consistency standpoint,
that
but
was Nut.
Arkansas was in that upper echelon of the SEC when the motorcycle incident happened, and then he got dishonorably discharged from the job because of it.
This is the reason
And they
why.
have not been the same since.
Hey, that's what happens with Arkansas and Mississippi State. They get that great success and then they just come crashing down.
Hmm.
They don't belong there. You're underneath them.
They are, to your point though about that being one of the most attractive jobs. They are a sleeping giant.
If
When you consider the amount of wealthy donors that are in that area that are not being exploited from an NIL standpoint, if you can get like Walmart and a lot of these other big like companies there with millions of dollars at their billions of dollars in a sense at their disposal. If you could get them on board,
it's only two
you
people
could have a
that need to get
thriving
on board.
program there.
There's only two people that need to get on board. One is Walton, and two is Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones is pretty much already on board.
But they do not do enough to put that program over the top. Those two people have their interest of the Cowboys and the Broncos. When the Walton family bought the Denver Broncos, they turned a kind of like their back on the Arkansas program. That money has not gone as much to the Arkansas program because
Hmm.
they're trying to build a new stadium in Denver, and they're trying paying for contracts that they're paying for in Denver. Like they still paying for Russell Wilson in Denver,
Hmm.
you know. So they're worrying about Denver in Dallas. But if those two people get together and start head focus, like dive into the program, that could be an unstoppable force. Um, but because I think the two NFL teams they won't. Number five, Virginia Tech. I don't think this program is going to be good for a while. Look
Agreed.
how long it took um, for that program to become what it was. It was a program, and I don't even think. I'll say this: I heard people saying, "Do you think?" Um, tell me why my mind starts slipping. It's South Carolina. The
Shane Beamer.
Shane Beam would take up that program. Like you don't go in that. You don't go follow your dad. There's no way to follow your dad in that program.
No, I mean his dad basically built that program. Frank Beamer, like to me, Virginia Tech football is Frank Beamer,
Yeah,
and they have not been the same since he left. So,
it's kind of like the Kansas State job. You know,
hmm,
it was all like Kansas State was the that coach, and I'm telling you,
Dan
I'm a mind
Snyder.
slipper. Dan Snyder. It was Snyder's team. Then they fired him. They forced him out, get a new head coach, and didn't work. They hired him back.
Bill Snyder. Bill
Bill
Snyder.
Snyder.
Bill Snyder. Dan Snyder,
Snyder is the
the
old
yeah, the Washington Redskins owner, old
so like
owner. Yeah.
Snyder was was Kansas State, and it's never been the same. Same
Mm-mm.
thing with Virginia Tech. I don't think it's going to be the same. You can just I put them fifth. It should be higher up, but it's a program where with all this expansion, it's going to get lost in expansion because the Big Ten don't want them. The SEC doesn't want them. They haven't been winning. They've been really since they moved to the ACC. Been They were doing great in the beginning of the ACC venture, but it's been dormant ever since. Um, Oregon State's number six, and
I'm kind of surprised that you have Oregon State above UAB. If only, if only for the sense that UAB is actually in a conference where they could have the potential to,
okay.
actually
So
be a playoff buster. But
first thing, you never been to UAB. One,
oh,
two,
I've been to UAB.
two. Oregon State, the Pac-12, the Pac-12 will be back next year, and the teams they got in that Pac-12 conference it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be the new Mountain West. Okay,
It pretty much is the new Mount. It pretty much is the Mountain West. But
it
yeah,
is the Mountain West. Yeah. But Oregon State still has a better stadium, better history, and you still have those alliances to where you're going to be playing Oregon. You're going to be playing those big time. You can still play some big time opponents, and you still have the opportunity. There's still opportunity for Oregon State to be in a major conference in the future. UAB doesn't have a single shot to be in a bigger conference.
yeah, yeah. I'll give you that.
And at number seven, Trent Dilfer got fired from UAB.
Which
Got
that
let
that was a
go.
hiring that made no sense. And not to like skip ahead too much, but like that Trent Dilfer hire is almost in the same vein as a coach that's on your hot seat list. But we'll dive into that when we get there.
I actually think I think that at the beginning I liked the Trent Dilfer hire for UAB because they were coming from a part where they needed someone like if it wasn't Trent Dilfer, then who? I think that was a perfect fit for Trent Dilfer. I thought that was perfect. But UAB also has this problem of being UAB. The
I
problem,
mean they weren't even going to have a football program
yeah,
a
exactly,
few years ago. Yeah, like
exactly. But the problem, like their football stadium's not on campus, so you leave Legion Field to have get build a stadium that's not on your campus, which I always say is a big problem, especially in Birmingham because it's Birmingham.
yeah, fuck Birmingham, fuck
Um,
Alabama, but you know.
yeah, I'm grateful for UAB. I went on a recruiting trip to UAB. I like UAB. I
Mhm.
like the. I was thinking. It was one of my favorite camper visits I ever had was at
Mm.
UAB. Um, but let's go to the hot seat. Shock me if you haven't heard this one. Number one, Billy Napier.
And I feel like, because if I'm not mistaken, after this weekend, Florida has a bye. A lot of the rumor mill out there right now is that Billy Napier will be fired after this weekend. That there have been enough people, enough boosters that have gone to the AD and have been like, he needs to be out ASAP. So I
What,
think
what,
it's one of those things that he his name and the Florida job will be added to the coaching cemetery very shortly.
I'm going to tell you this: Florida is so ruthless that this is like the second coaching hire of my memory that they started a fire the coach campaign right after he got hired. They did not like this hiring in the first place.
First off,
Eh,
they had no business firing Dan Mullen.
Sure.
and no business firing Dan Mullen. That was a knee jerk reaction, and to me, they are still suffering from that. And it's like Billy Napier was not going to come in and be a world beater. Like he had success at ULL, and I'm not gonna lie, there was a part of me that when LSU was doing its coaching search before they ended up settling on Ogeron, that I was or not selling on, but like whenever they
Kelly.
got rid of Ogeron, yeah, that I was like, I could see Napier here because at least he knows the state,
Yeah.
he knows the area. Like that would have been maybe more of a fit than Napier to Florida, but that hey, you reap what you sow, Florida. Like no business firing Dan Mullen. But anyway,
But I think, but also they weren't going to do nothing with Dan Mullen. Um, I don't think they were going to do anything with Dan Mullen, but I think Napier was the wrong pick. Um, number two, and I'm actually going to change this about. I know I gave you my list, but number two is Luke Fickle of Wisconsin. When you lose to third by 30 plus points at home to Iowa, Iowa scored 30 something points on Wisconsin.
Iowa is offensively inept. So that says something right there when you allow them to put that many points on you.
I feel bad for Luke Fickle because he left Cincinnati that that and he left this trend of Cincinnati coaches leaving Cincinnati, going into coaching, finding a different coaching position, and having success.
Hmm.
To where he just shit the bed in Wisconsin. And I think his style of recruiting would have been perfect for Wisconsin, but then the NIL came around, and I think that he's one of those coaches that cannot adapt to the NIL. I
Mm,
think I had to put him up. I had to put him up number two because that 37 to 0 loss. Every time I just keep seeing it, just like I'm like, nah, he has been in the hot seat. These rankings like come from uh, the hot seat, the coaches hot seat rankings.com. Except for one of the changes I made. I made one change because it ties into the Penn State job. But number three would be Hugh Freeze of Auburn. First thing, who and can we talk about Auburn? How do you shit the bed every year or every
so,
coaching hire? You shit
so
the fucking bed.
their offense has been god awful. But you know what? Like his seat might be hotter after the Georgia game, but let's not forget that Auburn was up on Georgia at one point 10 to nothing and could have gone up 17 nothing. Like that and by the way, it took roughly 30 minutes to complete like just barely 2 minutes of football in that first half because the officiating was so god fucking awful. Like like to me, Auburn had all the momentum in that game up until that fumble at the goal line, and then you just watch the officiating of that game suck the momentum right out of them. I mean, like, yeah, Georgia, started slow and then came back and ended up winning that game. But like, dude, this is going to be a separate show just talking about how bad officiating has been across the board this year, whether it's college ball,
Yeah,
NFL ball. It's been it's been bad.
yeah.
But yeah, no, like like I was a little worried when Hugh Freeze got to Auburn because I was like, if you give him time to build something there, Auburn's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I'm kind of happy to say that my fears have been sponged. Like, don't have to worry because you know,
Here's the thing
Hugh.
too. I was like, well, this guy had a cheat to get a good team in Ole Miss.
Now he doesn't have to cheat.
You don't have to
That is a
cheat,
beautiful thing. Now you don't
but
have to cheat. You have NIL, and
but Auburn, but you're at Auburn. They're not. It's Auburn. They they
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
they,
but
they shit the bed
Auburn,
on coaches.
yeah,
Auburn's
but
a shit bed for coaches. I don't
yeah,
understand why. They have great coach. They have great coaching hires, but it's just like it don't work out. It doesn't work
well,
out.
they were another team that ran out Gus Malzahn, not too far removed from winning a championship. So
Well, you gotta remember they ran out there the coach that won the national championship with Gus Malzahn as offense coordinator to hire Gus Malzahn.
yeah,
I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you just won a national championship. Um, Next on the list is Mike Norvell because hey, you beat number one Alabama. But what have you done for me lately? Nothing.
dude,
And I think
that's another one that needs to be studied right up there with the James Franklin situation. The fact that like you start the season hot and then you lose in double overtime to Virginia in a game that a lot of people circled that as a trap game. But then the follow up against Miami, like the fact that they started the season so hot and jumped up into like the top 5, top 10. And now we look at them here. This is week 6, week 7, and they haven't won a conference game. It's crazy. But yeah, like I don't know. You felt for Norvell after the injury bug bit them a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, no, it's been a
no last
dumpster
season.
fire. Yeah,
It's from last season the the shit show that happened last season to this season where you had the promise hot start and then
back to
you just
reality.
back to last season. And I think that's the reason why he's back on that hot list, on that hot seat. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. If you didn't get rid of him last year, you're not going to get rid of him this year.
Mm-mm.
But a lot of people saying that's going to be. Um, Before I mentioned this guy because he's not on the hot seat. I have him ranked fourth or fifth in my list on the hot seat rankings because when James Franklin got fired, this is the coach's. This is where he wants to go. He wants to go to Maryland. Mike Loxley, who's having a good season,
4-2. Yeah.
he's on the hot seat because they will get rid of his ass in an instant if they can get James Franklin in there.
Mm-hmm.
And James Franklin would go there and build that team up. I think they can build that team up, and I think that's where Penn State fans are kind of worried and scared of that he can go to Maryland and build up a team. Now, will they show up in big games? Probably not because it's
I
James
wouldn't
Franklin.
worry. I wouldn't worry if I were a Penn State fan. I wouldn't worry. I'd maybe actually be grateful if he took the Maryland job because that's almost a guaranteed win. It's like, look, anytime James Franklin plays a team that is a major brand or major, he loses. So I mean, I would be like, hey, if he goes to Maryland, yeah, they might have a good team, but I ain't got to worry because when we play them, that's a fucking easy win right there.
That could also go for Penn State because hey, guess what? Penn State, he helped build this program.
He
He
was
built your
like
program back up. You were
he.
nothing.
The thing is, I will say this about James Franklin. James Franklin was the right hire at the right time, considering everything that was going on at Penn State post Joe Pa. You know,
Yeah,
you needed somebody that was going to be a stabilizing force that could bring respectability back to the program and make them relevant again. And he did just that. And he built up that program to where, again, consistently would win 10 wins or get 10 wins. The problem is they can never take that next step. And now you're at a point where it's like, okay, we've given you 12 years to not only build this program, but to then, you know, keep stepping upward and keep stepping upward. And you can't take that next step. And so it's like, yeah, it was time for a change. Just like I
but
said,
also
I figured the original timeline might have been at the end of the season, not week 6.
Yeah, but like Mike, I said I think Mike Loxley got to be look. It's not hot. It's not warm. It's mild, but it's because I hate to say it, Maryland would drop his ass in an instant to go get Franklin.
Hmm.
Um, and then the last person on this hot list. Um, yes, I wear an LSU hat, but I did go to North Carolina, and I said
Mm.
when they hired him, I told everybody I know, it's either going to be the greatest fucking thing that ever happened to North Carolina, or it's going to be a fucking shit show.
It well
It's
the
going to be
North
a
Ca-
it's a shit show.
the North Carolina situation is a prime example of why when you have big money people that don't necessarily know ball push their weight around to make a decision happen because it's like, well, hey, I'm footing the bill. I'm the one that's paying for it. You're going to do what I say. Because like I don't think he was on North Carolina's radar really at all until some of these wealthy boosters came in and forced the issue. Um, I like
I
you're
think
getting what you're paying for. That he so Belichick will go down as one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. All right, but you could tell that something was up when he interviewed in Atlanta. He interviewed in Houston. He interviewed at several NFL jobs, and nobody wanted to take him. Nobody offered him a contract. That should have been sign number one right there that something was up. So, yeah, like to your point, I was one of the ones that was kind of shocked when he was announced as a North Carolina coach. To your point, yeah, it's like it's either going to be an epic shit show or is Belichick going to be able to adapt to the college game? It's
see,
completely different than the NFL game.
I figured this that he was never going to win a national championship. I didn't think he was going to be national championship level head coach, but I thought that he can change the directory of the North Carolina football program to go from this to this,
Hmm.
or maybe like a little bit like this. But it has nothing to do with his coaching thing. It all has to do with Lombardi as the GM and this fucking girlfriend bullshit that's going on.
It's
It's
it's it's
just,
a it's a sideshow. It,
it,
it, it
it
is it is a sideshow for everything, but the game itself. But then when you get to the game itself, North Carolina's just getting mollywopped left and right. Is
yeah,
it's not even really competitive.
they haven't got they haven't got players in. I understand the first season, the first year, but fucking shit. No, you should not get mollywopped. Like you got get mollywopped every fucking week. No, I'm like it's no, it's bad. Like after the TC loss, first game of the year, people are like, all right, basketball season's going to start in a couple months. Let's go. Let's get ready.
Oh no.
That normally happens after the third game of the season. It's like, all right, basketball season going to the third game. Oh, yep. Okay, third game's over. Basketball season's coming. Now it's like after that, at halftime, they were like, basketball season. The other week I was watching the game. I turned it on, and in the second quarter, all the North Carolina fans are fucking. All the students were walking out of the fucking stadium, and like I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy shit. They usually stay till the third quarter.
Huh.
We didn't have great fans. North Carolina. Look, we're not a football school, but the school wants to be an SEC school, wants to be a Big Ten school. So they
Hmm.
go get this head coach. Says, hey, he's marketable. They're going to love. This is what the big conferences want. They're showing that we're taking a initiative of making our football program better, and it just goes. Nah. But it's also called the curse of Mac Brown. What
Hmm.
happened when Tulane did not want to pay Mac Brown to stay at Tulane? Tulane went
Yep.
hired Buddy Stevens. Texas. Oh, great. You have 10+ win seasons, but we're gonna go with this new shiny coach. We're gonna go with someone new. Actually, they were trying to get Nick Saban. Nick Saban don't go fuck off, and so then they had to go. And then that went down to a spiral of shit case. And now North Carolina, he didn't get fired, but he was not. He was kind of like pushed out.
Hmm.
And now you got this. Hey, it's curse of fucking Mac Brown. Don't force Mac Brown out. Mac Brown is someone that like look. We're not great, but we had consistency.
Yeah.
But um, but let's talk about why I think that James Franklin firing has repercussions that go all the way to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
end on this because this will
yeah,
be a bit of a talking point. Yeah.
yeah. So last week you said that LSU won't buy out Brian Kelly's contract because it's worth his buyout was too high.
Yeah, it's if they were to try to buy him out after the season, it would be $60 million, which you got to remember they just threw a shit ton of money at Ed Ogeron to buy him out and get him out, and it's
So
not like and it's not like the LSU booster base is out of Texas or Texas A&M or anything like where there's deep pockets. It's like you can only foot that bill for so much before it comes back to bite you in the ass. And so it's like as much as the fan base is ready to run Kelly out, I don't necessarily think that LSU would be willing to pay that kind of money to do that at this juncture.
so
But
Ed Orgeron's final payment of his final payment it will be December of this year, and he's off the books. They have no back money to pay coaches. That will be the last one.
mhm,
Brian Kelly's buyout is $61.8 million. The reason why I say it brings back to James Franklin because James Franklin buyout was $56.7 million.
which reportedly Adidas contributed a hefty sum of that amount, if not all of it.
I doubt that I doubt that completely. That Adidas put that much money into it.
I'm just saying that's what the rumor mill is saying right now.
So I I believe that the 61 million, the 61.8 million. I think LSU can eat that and pay that to release him because we're about to come a concept of the next three this the rest of this season. ESPN prediction the predictor has them only going to for the next 6 games to go 2-4. They are Vanderbilt's favorite tomorrow to win.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that Vanderbilt has been favored over LSU since post World War II, or like 1946, I think is the
They're,
year.
they're 2.5 point favorites on the line, but the ESPN predictor 60.7% chance that Vanderbilt wins the game. For Texas A&M, A&M has a 51.3% chance winning the game, and then Alabama has a 76% chance to beat LSU. Then the only two games that LSU are favored in the predictor are Arkansas at 71.9% and Western Kentucky 97.3%. And they are predicted to lose to Oklahoma, which Oklahoma has 54.5% of the chance. So
Mhm.
if LSU loses, Vanderbilt, A&M, Alabama, I'm just saying that you're year four, and with LSU's this century, let's talk about just century alone. Every head coach won a national championship in their third year. So you
Mhm.
are past your third year mark, right?
Yeah. No, we're in year 4.
And we're getting to we're not deep into like a Les Miles situation, but you
I mean, well,
I'm not seeing progress.
the thing with Kelly is like it feels like it's underachievement considering the talent that you have there. The fact that they made such a big deal of pushing Mike Denbrock out as OC to implement Joe Sloan, because Joe Sloan's whole thing was, um, I'm going to be able to recruit the kid that's now at Michigan. Like, he's coming to LSU because of me. I want more say in the offense, everything. Um, then you end up not even getting the kid from Michigan. And Denbrock wasn't going to be like, Denbrock had no or made no reservations about it. He was not going to be a co-offensive coordinator. I think, like, if you look at LSU over the last like few years when Denbrock was the OC, offense was thriving. It was the defense that was fucking god awful. All right. So then you correct the issue with the defense and you bring in a capable defensive coordinator. But then you push Denbrock out for a guy in Joe Sloan who hadn't really been an OC before. He was maybe an up and coming young coach, but it hadn't been an OC before. And you kind of see the result of this. It's the run game has been nearly non-existent. You saw a bit of it in this past game against South Carolina. It was a marked improvement. I'll give you that. But this offensive line is fucking terrible. It's a patchwork O line. There's no consistency on offense. Um, you could make the case that maybe the offensive production was better in that South Carolina game when you consider that LSU turned the ball over twice in the red zone. And so while the final score was 20-10, it's not indicative of what you know, the flow of the game. But the offense has been the struggle all season. And Garrett Nussmeier, who was supposed to be, a Heisman candidate and, potential first round draft pick and everything, has underwhelmed this season. And whether that's been because of injury or what, who's to say? But then what does that say about Kelly if it's like, hey, we're going to go ahead and trot him out there, even if he's injured, because he gives us a quote unquote best chance to win, rather than let him heal up. And maybe in some of those games, like against Southeastern, um, or some of the other cupcakes early in the season, you let Nussmeier sit and rest and recover. I mean, I don't know. Just Kelly rubs me the wrong way from a culture standpoint. Not the greatest fit at LSU. Um, it was just throwing money out at a big name to try and make it work. And just to me, it's been mediocre at best.
That's why I don't think LSU can afford to run through his contract and for the 10 years.
But
And
then,
if
but
let's
then,
let's
but
cut it.
then,
Let's
but then the question is, okay, you buy him out. Who do you bring in?
That's where you gotta start like looking.
Yeah, but that's the $1 million question. If you run a coach off like that, who wants to come in and potentially deal with that?
Well,
It's a wild card. It's an unknown. It's a risk one way or the other.
but that's the
But
thing that people said the same thing about Les Miles when they're talking about, oh, if we let Les Miles go, who are we going to bring in? It's the same thing. Like, yeah, you have success, but now we're playing a game where winning a 10-run season or winning is not successful. You need to be in the playoffs. You need to be this far back. To me, it's the 3-year goal. And unfortunately, the problem is, I keep going back to it. Your last three head coaches, third year, you won a national championship,
yeah,
and that's the problem with now you in the program. You are a blue blood. You are a college football blue blood. You have to get. You cannot slip down because you already seen what happened with Orgeron. We slipped in.
Hmm.
They slipped in so quickly that they had to get Brian Kelly just to get their freaking the APR up, which he did finally like the last 2 years is the APR was up, the graduating
Hmm.
APR. But now, okay, what are we doing? You know, you have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, but we have nothing to show for it. We have three bowl games, but they're not New Year Day. They're not big name bowl games. We have not been in the playoffs. We were ranked number three, and then probably if let's say if ESPN was correct in this sector, we they're probably going to be out of out of everything bowl contention most likely.
Yeah, well, it's they like Vandy's going to be a big test this weekend. They need to win that game at Vandy, which I think they are very capable of doing that. They just have to stop shitting the bed. We'll say Nuss looked a lot better in that South Carolina game than he has most of the season, but he's still throwing stupid picks, and it's like you gotta get that under control. But I mean, look, I'm not necessarily completely out on Kelly, but this is a make or break for Kelly. Now, you were bringing up the Penn State thing and how it maybe correlates back here. I know that Kelly is one of the names that has popped up on Penn State's potential coaches list. Hey, Penn State wants to throw a bunch of money to try to buy him out of his contract here to come and coach over there.
He only has a two
Let's
million
go.
dollar buyout if he leaves.
Yeah, but no, but then you still also have to pay him at Penn State.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, like,
Uh, if Penn State's interested like that, he's going to bite because he knows his job is he ain't going to last here after next year. I think it's a 2 year window. He's gone after this year or he's gone after next year if you don't win.
yeah, I mean,
It's written.
to me,
It's
well, to
written.
me for Kelly, especially here, it was playoff or bust this year. And you can chalk it up to injury, whatever. If he ends up surviving this season, the first thing he's going to have to do is get a new offensive coordinator. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But we
Yeah.
shall see.
I think they lose tomorrow to at Vandy.
I hope not, but
I think
I
Vandy.
can't say I would be
I
surprised.
think Vandy that it's been it's ready to start rolling off the tracks, baby. Vandy's here.
No
Then next year
longer a doormat.
they'll be back mid tier because unless he gets a quarterback, he is up for another year extension from the NCAA. But
Hey, look, they
yeah,
got a lot of wealthy doctors coming out of that Nashville, that Vanderbilt system. So I mean, there's a lot of potential wealthy donors there. Like
they have
Vandy could be an NIL sleeping giant if.
they have a lot of MLB starting pitching Cy Young winners out of that
Mhm.
program that's making money. But
Oh
on
yeah,
that note, yeah, it's going to be a special thing. We'll be having some more episodes coming forward, talking about different topics. We'll talk about how economics and being priced out of games with all the sports, uh, officiating, because it just goes to football, but also baseball, because I think baseball's doing a great thing with the new electronic thing
hmm,
and with everything else. If you guys didn't know either, me and Randy are Red Sox fans. This past week, ex LSU Alex Bregman did opt out of his contract. Most likely will re-sign with the Red
gotta hope
Sox,
so. Gotta hope so.
and then we'll probably have a discussion. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, that Paul Skeens wins the Cy Young, and we talk about the future of Paul Skeens.
He needs to get out of Pittsburgh. He needs to get out of there, dude. He's wasting some of the best years of his career there. It's
It's
sad.
and I hate it because it's my favorite ballpark. I love that ballpark. It's fucking awesome views. But that'll be future episodes. But yeah, we'll be talking about LSU. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be either a great couple weeks or a bad couple weeks.
Might be cursing up a storm the next time you see me talking about the Vandy game, but we'll see.
You might be saying like, yeah, you're right. Fire that motherfucker now. But with that note, we'll catch you next time on the podcast.
Deuces.